evening from New York. I am Selwyn Collins, your host of CWS Journeys. Welcome to another edition of CWS Journeys. My guest this evening is an amazing gentleman. You will meet him in a few seconds or so. His name is Phil Andrews. He's the current president of the Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce, Inc., which is a regional chamber of commerce serving Nassau, Suffolk, Queens, and Kings County. The Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce, established in 2010 by its founder, John L. Scott. Phil Andrews began serving as the president of the Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce on September 4th, 2013, and was officially sworn in on May 22nd, 2014 to the presidency. He previously presided as president of 100 Black Men of Long Island, Inc., an organization with over 116 chapters worldwide and comprised of 10,000 members, which falls under the umbrella of 100 Black Men of America, Inc. Phil has also served on various committees such as the New York Metro Black MBA Association, the largest chapter of Black MBAs in the country, 100 Black Men of Long Island, Inc., Public Relations Chairman for 10 years, 100 Black Men of Long Island, Inc., Membership Committee 10 years. Andrews has a history of lecturing throughout colleges and universities and has served as the Director of Public Relations for Awareness Magazine, Hempstead Horn newspaper, African Atlantic Genealogical Association, Amber Books, Self-Publishing Symposium, and Harlem Book Fair in Long Island, Queens Book Fair, and I Love to Read Book Fair. I am going to bring on Phil Andrews, and let's just get started. Good afternoon, good evening, Phil, and welcome to CWS Journeys.
Good evening, thank you.
Phil, what are some things, I'm just going to jump right into it. What are some things those who are close to you, what are some things they say about you that you agree with when they describe you?
Well, one of the things they say about me is that I'm very humble, and I do believe that humility is a great attribute. Humility is one of the most important things that you could have. And when you possess that trait, you always stay in a state of gratefulness, and you don't let your ego get in the way.
Mm-hmm. If you were not doing what you're doing today, what would you like to have tried as a career?
Well, I love teaching. Teaching is a very important thing because what you first teach, you must learn.
I want to go back into your timeline. Take us back to the 19-year-old, the 15-year-old Phil, and give us a glimpse of what life was like growing up.
Well, I grew up in Brooklyn, first of all, and I was an avid reader, and I believe that through reading we could travel around the world. And I grew up in a somewhat area that was considered a pretty bad area, Marcy housing development. But I learned very early that through books, you will be able to expand your territory and view of the world. And there's no limit through books. And by the age of 19, 21, I had already studied Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, and Marcus Garvey, Up You Mighty Race, if you will. So I was a big reader on culture, and I believe that through reading all of those books of books like Malcolm X, books like Marcus Garvey, J.A. Rogers, we are embodiment today of all of those people. We take all of the good things that we can and we implement them in our own lives.
It's interesting that you mentioned Garvey. What is one thing that always stands out for you when you think about Marcus Garvey?
Well, one of the things that stuck out with me is that he said, I have no time to hate any other race. All of my time is loving myself.
I love that. Take us back also and give us a glimpse of somebody you respected while growing up that has helped to shape this man we've come to know as Phil Andrews.
Well, my aunt, Frances Virginia Young, she was a leader. She was an evangelist in church, and I have wrote something recently about her. She was like a pre-forerunner to Hillary Clinton. Back in the 70s and the 80s, we did not have many women leading in the church. Mm-hmm. And she would lead when the current pastor that we had that was from Guyana, he moved on. My Aunt Frances held down the church for many years, and that was the early beginnings of leadership in the home. Because leadership is not an outside thing. It's also with your parents, your aunts, with people that have shaped you. And sometimes we didn't think of them of like being Obama, but sometimes you have some phenomenal people that led you early on in life that had integrity, they had character, they had commitment. So they had all of the primary traits of leadership into be a role model for us. But at that time, we didn't think of it as they was training us as leadership. But later on, we would begin to know that we had some great people in our lives.
You mentioned religion and your aunt. You were yourself were raised by a minister. How much of an impact did religion have on you growing up?
Well, religion was very impactful because one of the things that we always heard was if you train up a child in the way that it should go, when they became older, it would not depart from you. And religion and right and wrong is a very important concept. And we contributed most of our early reading to reading the Bible, the King James Version.
Yes.
Now, if anybody read the King James Version, you really got to know how to read. So I think the early religious training also helped us academically in the public system.
Bed-Stuy was it. All right.
Yes, that's correct.
Gone through an amazing transformation these days. It's hardly recognizable by people who grew up there 20, 30, 20, 20, 25 years ago. But when you think of Bed-Stuy and being African American, what comes to mind and what do you love about growing up in Brooklyn?
Well, I grew up in Brooklyn, and I think that Brooklyn made me. I think that Brooklyn, wherever you have your early foundation, it was very important. And then at that time, growing up in Bedford-Stuyvesant to come from Marcy Housing Development and then get admitted to Brooklyn Technical High School, one of the most specialized schools in the city. Today there's a big whole thing about kids not being able to get into Brooklyn Tech on their own merit and having an assistant and breaking the rules of test taking. So I think that your foundation and your moral fiber is very important. So we had the moral compass was correct because someone's telling you if you have the right moral principles, there's no telling that your behavior will be correct, that you'll have the right type of work ethic. So I think we need to move back to the old time morals of adults being role models, mentors, and even back then we had growing up, reading is fundamental. We had something called RIF, where we believed in reading books, and that reading would make a difference in the world. So I think some of the things may seem like a long time ago, but if we would go back into our memory, we will find the solutions today.
I'm talking about memory. What memories do you still indulge about growing up in Brooklyn?
Well, one of the things that we stands very tall is that my aunt, we picked up all of the kids in the neighborhood for church every Sunday. So that was an act of leadership. And many years later, I find myself in the role of leadership trying to get the community together, just like my Aunt Frances taught me as a child.
Who do you miss the most from your childhood?
Well, I miss a lot of friends. We had a lot of friends. We played sports. We conversation about religion. We had dialogue, different religions. So we had just a great time. We played those games that didn't cost a lot of money because we didn't know we didn't have a lot of money. But one of the things that we didn't know until years later is that we was rich in values.
Yes. I like that. Who do you wish was alive today to witness your achievements?
Well, I would say my parents, my mother and my father, because no matter where we go in this life, our mother and our father are always with us.
Yes.
And they actually still serve as a motivating force because we always seek the approval of our mothers.
What do you most remember about your mom?
Well, I don't remember much because she passed very early at 5 years old. But you know what? I know it was in my DNA to be great.
Could you repeat that, please?
I know it was in my DNA to be great.
How did you use that knowledge throughout your path to where you are today?
Well, one of the things my father did say to me many years ago, he said that I don't have much to give you, but I have a name. And we need to honor the name that we were given on this earth. And if we honor it, we will live a life of integrity and principles.
Why am I feeling that this is going to be an amazing journey this evening, Phil Andrews? I'm going to read you a quote. Every day God grants us another day on this planet. It is an opportunity to achieve greatness through our unique fingerprint. It is only through full use of our gifts, talent, and unique abilities which has been bestowed upon us that we achieve greatness. Your quote. How does that resonate with you?
Well, one of the things that resonates me is that we're here to use every ounce of ability that we have. You know, and someone said it's like lifting weights. The more that you lift the weight, the lighter the weight becomes. Not that the weight has gotten any lighter, but your ability to do has been increased.
You're accomplished, well, and obviously use your gifts and talents. How far along the path to greatness do you believe you are right now?
Well, I believe I'm just getting started. And one of my mentors said that I didn't reach my peak yet. And each and every day I am is greater. So that gives me the ability to do greater than yesterday. Because essentially when you see me every day, I have expanded and I'm not the same person.
The bit of conversation we have had, which have always been delightful and enlightening and informative, Phil, I realize there's something about you that is you use your imagination a lot. Maybe you were to imagine this greatness that is unfolding, that is you unfolding into. If it's not unfair to ask you this, how would you describe this greatness?
I would say it's unlimited. And the reason why I say it's unlimited, many years ago, I was exposed to a quote by George Washington Carver. And the quote went something like this. They asked George Washington Carver, how did he get so much out the peanut? And George Washington Carver said that if God is in the peanut, then an infinite amount of things could come out the peanut. Then George Washington Carver said that the same God is in the peanut, then an infinite amount of things could come out of me. The whole of life is known to your relativity to your maker.
The whole of life is known through the relativity.
It's knowing your relativity, to your maker.
I love that. As a lecturer throughout colleges and university, what is the one underlying message you like to give in your lectures?
That no one has the fingerprint that you have. That we are born with unique fingerprints. And as a young man, I simply decided to do my best. And when we decide to do our best, it's all in a decision-making capacity. And every time you become to make a decision, you have a time in between stimuli and response. And the power to choose is where your power lies.
May I ask you a favor? Right here, live. In any of the book that you write, would you please use this line, I simply decided to do my best.
I'll make that commitment.
Please. That's a very profound statement. I simply decided to do my best. When did you realize that public service and educating others were the way forward for you?
Well, I began to recognize my gifts, and that I had a natural calling to bring people together. I had a natural calling to be a master communicator. So when we learn our gifts, and then we operate in a certain percentage of using our gifts, that's our passion. It's something that calls you. It's something that everyone on this earth should be in some percentage area of their passion. Because when you're in your passion, it's not even like work. It's really like play.
You know, doubt has a way of grasping or grabbing hold of the creative mind, grabbing hold of the mind that spends a lot of time imagining things and thinking outside the box, so to speak. How did you overcome that?
Through affirmation. Affirmation is a powerful tool. I am, I can, I will. So we have to build up the will. The will has to be built up. And when you have that feeling of self-doubt, I am, I can, I will.
I am, I can, I will. What do you believe is one of the community's greatest challenge to self-sufficiency?
Well, I believe that we have to go back in our memory and we have to work together as a community. Because, as my mentor says, that when all boats rise and they rise together, we have a greater chance of rising. So somewhere along the line, we have lost our social fabric. But you know what? If we go back into our memory, into our own childhood, and see how our elders raised us, we could return back to our memory and return back to our greatness.
So you're big on respect for elders, respect for community, respect for tradition, I would say.
Yes, and I think also too, we make history every day. We got to know that each and every day is in fact history. So what are you doing to contribute to history?
You have been described as a leading advocate in the area of business to business, business to business networking, financial empowerment seminars and advocacy. You're a passionate advocate for the African American community. Why is this so, Phil? Why are you so passionate about the success of the African American community?
Because I care. I really care about the condition of the community, and I believe that I have a power to make a difference.
You have the power to make a difference.
That's correct.
Have you ever felt that power challenged by your circumstances, by events, by the would-be naysayers?
Oh yes, but someone says that if nobody's giving you negative feedback, sometimes you need negative feedback to do better.
Yes, yes.
So you want to have feedback, and you want to be able to listen to what's out there. And when you use your judgment, you take all the facts and you make the proper decisions based on
It's
your
like the
judgment.
friction against the wheel. Of all your accomplishments and awards, and there are many, Phil, right? Many, many awards. What gives you the greatest satisfaction about your awards and accomplishments?
Well, one of the things that I did many years ago when I had the franchise, one young man had a store on Nostrand Avenue, and he told me, Phil, I wouldn't have had the store if it wasn't for you because you was a role model. And at the time, I didn't even know he was a role model. And to say that somebody's always watching. Somebody's always watching us, even when we think they're not. So we have to be doing the right thing because you can be a role model to someone and you may not even know it.
I believe in that. I truly believe in that. As an African American, what does it mean to be inducted as a Caribbean American Chamber of Commerce member, visionary on two separate occasions in New York City? I mean, the number doesn't really, it's not that I'm going after. I'm going after the fact that you've been inducted by the Caribbean American Chamber of Commerce.
Well, one of the things I believe that if you only work with your own community, you disempower yourself. And when you work with diversity, diversity is a very important concept. And diversity, it gives you different views. It gives you different vantage points. So diversity has always been a part of what I'm about.
You're current president of the Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce. But before I ask you about that, let's spend some time on your previous position as president of 100 Black Men of Long Island. For those who don't know, this is an organization with over 116 chapters worldwide and comprised of 10,000 members, which falls under the umbrella of 100 Black Men of America, Inc. It's public relations chairman and membership committee for 10 years. So what exactly does that organization do, and what is the appeal to you?
Well, the appeal to me is one of the things that the model of 100 Black Men is the local chapter is the organization that makes a difference. And I've never been around such a great men that turned over every stone. They was just the generation, they were called the greatest generation. They was that first black commissioner. They was that first black judge. They was that person that wherever our interest was at stake, they was making sure that our interests was taken care of. And they were men like would talk about, to give you an example, Tuskegee Airmen. Some of my mentors were Tuskegee Airmen. And they used to whisper in my ear that all of us got some Tuskegee Airmen. Another thing that we had men that would say, you know what, I never met a man that I could not like. We used to have conversations about Argyle socks. So it was that camaraderie that, you know, all right, if we come together under a structure and all of these different men have exemplified excellence in a variety of fields, we are unstoppable.
In your quiet moments, when you reflect on your time within that organization, but especially as the president, what are you usually thinking of?
Well, one of the things as a leader, we always was thinking around the corner, over the corner. And leadership is often a visionary type nature. You have to kind of like see down the block, developing people, you know, and if you don't have any followers, you're not a leader.
Yes.
So leaders, if we're not developing other leaders, we're not effective.
What is one thing you wanted to implement when you first became president that you did get to implement?
Well, one of the things that I wanted to do was implement a collegiate 100. And across the country, there were other chapters that had collegiate 100. Because as you know, any organization gets old. And if you don't bring the next generation of leaders, the organization may not be able to be sustained in the future.
Yes, so you believe in continuity. Is there anything when your tenure was up you wish you had more time to accomplish?
Well, I think we did pretty well. I think some would say that under my presidency that it was going to go down as one of the greatest presidencies in the history of the organization. And that's a compliment.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. How did you become its president?
Well, actually, I had no plans to be president. But, you know, I do believe that over the years, we are equipped. And I serve, you know, to be a real leader,
yes,
is to be a real servant. And even in the Bible, it says that he who wishes to become the greatest among you must first become a servant.
Why are you comfortable with serving?
Well, service is the price that we pay for occupying space on this earth.
As a leader, what would you say is one of your greatest assets?
Well, my greatest asset is to really see potential, opportunities to be present and aware in all human situations to see opportunity and potential in them.
What is one thing about you feel you need to develop more, or you can develop more, to make you not a good, because you are a good leader, to make you greater than a better leader?
Well, I just think that one of the things that I try to stay in constant study. You know, you got to take time reading, renewing your mind, reading books, because sometimes we could have a block.
Yes.
We could be just doing it, and maybe we need to make a shift. Maybe we need to see something another way.
Sorry, finish. Sorry.
So I do think that every so often we need to assess what we're doing.
There are those who come to you when they are troubled, when they are challenged, when they are doubtful. And I'm sure you're able to give them some sort of relief and release. Who do you go to when you are troubled?
Well, one of the things that I do is I try to be still.
I like that.
Because, you know, in the Bible it says, be still, and then you know God.
Yes.
And then to be still is to know your potential.
When I know it started already, but there is and I'm detecting it, there is a strong bond, a strong intimacy you have with God. When did it actually get to this point?
Well, it started as a child. And one of the things I think is that we living in the big city, is sometimes we get away from nature and we do not look at the wonders of the universe and to look at how a blade of grass could go through concrete. The same desire that's running through that grass is the same desire that's running through me and you.
Brother, I want you to go back over that metaphor. It is powerful. A blade of grass.
The same blade of grass running through concrete is the same blade of grass. Desire. The same type of desire is running through us. But we got to we got to know how to use our intensity. And we, as humans, we could increase our desire to achieve.
So it's not so much that the grass doesn't know it can't. Perhaps that's the case, but it believes it can. Yes. And it is purposeful in its intention.
Yes.
That is what I got from this.
And that's true. And I'll give you another analogy. An acorn ain't nothing but an acorn. But
right.
It has intense desire to become a tree, and it cracks the acorn shell and becomes a tree. Because desire is running through an acorn.
Let us use that desire to take a quick break. And I mean quick, because we have a full evening.
Not everyone who calls out to me, Lord, Lord, will enter into the kingdom of heaven. Only those that actually do the will of my Father will enter. On judgment day, many will say to me, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, and cast out demons in your name, and in your name have we not worked many miracles? But I will reply, depart from me, ye workers of iniquity, I never knew you. Woo! Alright, let us separate the sheep from the goats. I'll recommend you take notes. Alright, pull your head out the cloud for a minute, let the truth hit you where it hurts most. I just wanna know. When last you preached Jesus, I just wanna know. When last you fed the hungry, I just wanna know. When last you took the time to think about somebody else apart from you. Hands up if you're rapping the Lord. Hands up if you're preaching the word. Hands up if you about your daddy's business. The kingdom's prepared for you. Hands up if you got a heart for the lost. Hands up if you fetching the cross. Hands up if you about your father's business. The kingdom's prepared for you. The kingdom is yours. Come on, clap. The kingdom is yours. You said it in your word, yeah. The kingdom is yours. Kingdom is yours. The kingdom is yours. Alright. Don't you know we got work to do? This thing is bigger than you. Alright. This world is not our home, and we just are passing through. I just wanna know. When last you fed the thirsty? I just wanna know. When last you clothed the homeless? I just wanna know. When last you took the time to think about somebody else apart from you? Hands up if you're rapping the Lord. Hands up if you're preaching the word. Hands up if you about your daddy's business. The kingdom's prepared.
We're back with Mr. Phil Andrews. Phil, by the time your tenure was up, did you wish you had more time to accomplish anything? I'm talking about the 100 Black Men.
Well, I was always led by the Spirit, and I always believe in a saying as this moment as it should be, and that God would always make room for your gifts. As you develop gifts, sometimes God has us in certain places for a certain period of time, and I've always been comfortable with moving on to the next level.
How were you introduced to the 100 Black Men of Long Island?
Well, at the time, I was running a very successful franchise, multiple stores in my 20s, and I had stores in Brooklyn, Queens, Long Island, and I was already a leader in my own sphere in the business world. And then I got introduced to a fraternity of men that just, didn't know what it meant to mean no. And it became a long friendship over 25 years, because men shop in men, as they say. So it was a great fraternity, and all different type of leaders, and everyone was different. So every leader that I was served under, I learned something to do and something not to do. So being around multiple leaders, I think I served under like 5 presidents. So, and I also served under committees, because to me it was never really about being a president, because if I was a committee chair, I would do it like I was Charles Rangel, like I was like chairman of the House Committee of the Congress. Because remember I said about doing the best that you can. If you do the best in your present occupation, in your present position, there will be made for room for you to grow in your next position.
In this role, well, let's go to the Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce, which you're currently the president. Tell us about your current role as president.
Well, one of the things make this role very unique is that I'm sort of like the founding president of the organization. You know, there were no maps, there were no rules, there were no plan, and I was the visionary that came in to do in 36 months that was never been done in the region in the history. So I think it really boils down to that all of your life, if you're present and attentive and you're taking the lessons, those lessons are going to be used to the next position to take you higher than you ever been before.
What was the first thing you were dying to change, to implement?
Well, one of the things that I was very concerned about is that they always say, oh, the community don't stick together, they don't work together. Well, I helped rebuild the social fabric and the master communicator. So as a leader with massive communication skills, you know, you got to be able to talk to a lot of people. Like all great leaders, when you look at many of the great leaders, what's the common thing you see between a King, a Malcolm X, a Marcus Garvey, and even a great president? They were massive communicators and great communicators, because what gets communicated gets done.
Fraternity of men. You stressed that a couple of times a few moments ago. For young men who are entering college, leaving college, or even in the either self-employed or in the workforce, how important is a fraternity of men? Well, I mean, it goes without saying, but it's a fraternity.
Well, it's very important, because every young man should have a mentor. And it is also said that in each and every stage of our life, no matter what age we are, we still could have a mentor. Because we may, in fact, have some blocks of certain things that we can't see about ourselves that others can see.
Yes, yes. I agree with that. What role does the, I wonder if I can shorten this, Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce play in the local economy?
It's playing a very significant role in the region. It's bringing businesses together in a large trade zone. Being 1 million African Americans live in the borough of Brooklyn, when we bring that together with about 500,000 in Queens County on the population and about 250 to 300,000, we have one of the largest markets of the black community in the whole country. So when we bring that thing together in this market, this is a major market. And sometimes, you know, we forget that we're born in the very place that there's only a couple of places that may have major financial exchanges in the world, and we just happen to be in one. So I think we're underutilizing our position and our ability to be a market. And we also tell a community that we are a market to do business with, to other ethnic groups, and we are a market to do business with ourselves. So we got a powerful market. We believe in the potential of the New York market is just phenomenal.
Well, that you mentioned other markets, I'm just curious about one thing. How does the chamber help foreign, especially Caribbean investors?
Well, I think that the dollars that we have over here in the U.S. is very substantial. There could be investments made in other places, and we are so wealthy here in America. I mean, you know, I mean,
yes.
Anybody that ever been overseas know the amount of waste that we have, and we know that some people are surviving on less than what we make a week in some places in the world. So I think we have to really just value the resources that we have here and put them to use, because it's like the story with the 10 talents. If you put your talent in a bush and you hide it, it's not going to be used. And the same thing with your resources. We just have to put more our resources to use. It's really the utility of what we have, not the amount of what we have, that really makes the utility grow.
Why should investors choose this chamber?
Well, this chamber, one of the things that we do is we believe in listening to the members. You know, some chambers could be so large they can't really hear the members. And my job as a leader is to try to listen to every member that come in, because everybody's got something that they're in the organization for. And if you listen to your customers in any business, you have to know your customers. So I have to listen to my membership base to know my customer base.
What was one of the most challenging, things for you when you became president?
Well, when you, just like any other business, when you start something new, getting the business off the ground is the hardest thing in the world. And the chamber is a business entity. We are 501c36, but guess what? The money is flowing, the memberships is coming in, and people are beginning to know the good work. So one of the things that's unique about this day and age is that the work is there. You can't say Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce not doing anything. You simply can Google Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce. You'll see us on Twitter. You'll see us on Facebook. You'll see us on LinkedIn. You'll see us on Google Plus. And I have to go back to the Bible.
Yes.
Again, by your works you shall be known. And our works are out there in abundance.
At what point, during your tenure, you realized that you were on the right track?
Well, I think you could feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got something built into us of integrity, character, that we know, and a conscience. We know when we're doing something right.
Yes.
And just like we know when we're doing something wrong. And the fact that members are coming on, that we're getting members saying, you know what, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And I see it. You don't even have to explain. You don't have to sell me. We know the work you're doing, and this is where I want to be. This is what I've been looking for.
What is your personal message for the Chamber of Commerce?
Well, my personal message is our best has not been done yet. And there are no facts about the future. So why don't we create our own future at the Chamber of Commerce?
Our best has not been done yet. There are no facts about the future. So why don't we create our future at the Chamber of Commerce? So our best is the moving horizon. You will never get to your best. So you must continually strive for excellence.
That's correct.
That is brilliant, Phil Andrews. Very brilliant. Immediate changes and enhancements when you got in there.
Well, one of the things that we did was we began to communicate. Social media. We communicate across a wide platforms. We've been on WABC Here and Now, Positively Black, Files One. We've also been in TV as far as Westchester. And when we went on WABC, it was really major. Many people don't know, but Here and Now is tri-state. So you could imagine we're dealing with the New York market, but we went on TV in all of New York, all of New Jersey, and Connecticut. This is a very powerful region. So we've been getting calls, and people are still looking at the shows, because sometimes major media is hard to get.
Yes.
And then they ran us twice. So we was just elated that we had about 400 subscribers subscribed in a couple of weeks to us once we went on WABC Here and Now.
How did your experience as a communicator, as a media savvy person, prepare you or help you with your vision for this organization?
I think it helps tremendously, because one of the things any business got to do is, there's a lot of noise out there, a lot of people talking about a lot of different things, and how do you get your message above the chatter? So I think the ability to be an effective communicator, to articulate what it is, because when you got a new product or service, whether it's an organization, you have to articulate what it does.
Yes.
And I think we got a really tremendous amount of information out there, letting people know of the work that we do. They can see the social side, they can see the toy drives, they can see the food drives, they can see the coat drives, they can see the MWBE certification, they can see the member business-to-business networking. So today, unfortunately, you have to let people know what you're doing today, because there's so much stuff going on and so much news out there, and you have to find a way to get above the crowd.
How do you manage it all?
Well, someone said do the thing and you should have the power. And I think that was Emerson, and we have to do the thing because action speaks louder than words.
Which one of these tentacles, the food drive, the clothes drive, the business-to-business networking, and all these various facets of this organization, which one sort of gives you pause the most? I don't want to say keep you up late at night, because you strike me as someone who sleeps very soundly, Phil.
Well, one of the things I think is just human inspiration. I mean, when you see someone doing it, when you hear the story that someone succeeded, somebody got a client because of the Chamber of Commerce, somebody got a referral, somebody was able to get a resource for their business that, like right now, I have a member that just went through a training, a 60-hour course that's going to help her be a better business person.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that without the Chamber of Commerce, these things would not have happened, it just gives me motivation to continually do things, because we're seeing the connection between the Chamber and community success.
What do you wish you knew when you assumed your position as president that you know now?
Well, one of the things that I do think that we're learning is that we have to spend some time with leadership development with people, because as any leader cannot do everything. And our success as an organization is indicated by how many leaders have we developed in this organization. So sometimes leadership training could be a 20-minute call with a board of director, or it could be with a membership committee chair, cultivating their skills and teaching them to be better and encouraging them. Because a leader, has to encourage people and keep them engaged, because I want every percent that people have to give, because when we put all that together, when I put your 10% against my 10% and another 20%, the power of leverage is a very important concept, especially in a nonprofit. We need leverage of a whole bunch of people. The more we contribute to the organization, the more the organization could give to us.
Mm-hmm. What are most people surprised to learn about you when they get to know you, Phil?
Well, that I could be very private, quiet. I like a good book, and I could also be very outgoing and speak in front of hundreds. So at different times, we have to take that time to contemplate and spend that quiet time also.
For those days when you don't feel like getting up and doing what you have to do, when you're really tired and drained, who or what gets you out of that mindset?
Well, I think one of the things that keep me going is there's always that next goal. There's always that next level. I once read what I believe that John Coltrane said, there's always that next level you can get to. So I think we're always thinking, and we're always trying to get that next level of success, and that our best has not been done yet.
I want to ask you a question and then take a quick break. I'm going to put you on a spot, in a lecture spot. You are standing in front of a group of young people, let's say young men, some troubled, some despondent about the system, not sure where to go to get a job, but just sort of fed up. What would you be telling them?
Well, one of the things I would tell them is that they have to read. One of the things that I think the keys of life have been to me is that I was told very early that reading people are ruling people.
Reading what?
Reading people are ruling people. People that read rule the world. And reading is very important. And sometimes we may have not just got a certain information. Like this book here, you got The Earth Heart Knows, man. They said that if you want to keep something for some people, put it in a book. So I think we need to read. I think we need to read more. I think we need to educate ourselves. And just recently, I was studying the word educe. Now, anybody know that educe is the root word of education? And what educe means is to bring out or to develop. So we all have the capacity to go within ourselves and deeply develop our own selves.
We all have the capacity to go within ourselves and deeply develop ourselves. Let's take a break.
If you got a heart for the lost, hands up. If you fetching a cross, hands up. If you about your father's business, the kingdom's prepared for you. The kingdom is yours. Come on, clap.
The kingdom is yours.
You said it in your word, said it in your word that
the kingdom is yours.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Kingdom is yours. The kingdom is yours. It's been waiting for you, but you can only enjoy if you do what is required of you. The kingdom is yours. It's been waiting for you, but you can only enjoy if you do what is required of you.
Okay, can I speak now? Hands up, like you know the answer to the math question. Obviously we oblivious how we investing. Why we so busy trying to be the best thing? When the king comes, it's gonna be interesting. Big churches are nice, but it was never about a big church. Look a little deeper, you will see the bigger picture. The kingdom doesn't come by observation. It's about time we learn how to be a Christian. Right around the block, single mama with 3 kids. Your neighbor next door doesn't know who to believe in. Your boss is in divorce court, falling into pieces. Don't you think this is the time to manifest Jesus? Preach the word, save the lost, go make disciples. Spread the love of Christ and quit chasing after titles. And if you don't believe, then go and read your Bible. And when you get the revelation, throw those hands up. If you're rapping the Lord, hands up. If you're preaching the word, hands up. If you about your daddy's business, the kingdom's prepared for you. Hands up. If you got a heart for the lost, hands up. If you fetching a cross, hands up. If you about your father's business, the kingdom's prepared for you. Hands up. If you rapping the Lord, hands up. If you preaching the word, hands up. If you about your daddy's business, the kingdom's prepared for you. Hands up. If you got a heart for the lost, hands up. If you fetching a cross, hands up. If you about your father's business, the kingdom's prepared for you. The kingdom is yours.
The kingdom is yours.
For the foundations of the world,
the kingdom is yours.
Ooh, 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 yeah, yeah.
The kingdom is yours.
Kingdom is yours, yeah. Then the king will say to those on his right, come you who are blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you before the creation of the world. For I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty and you gave me to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me into your home. I was naked.
We are back with Mr. Phil Andrews. Phil, any success stories of the chamber you would care to share with us?
Yes, we've got quite a few of our members that have landed substantial contracts with government entities. Also, we've got some of our own businesses certified. We got caterers that now MWB certified to do business with the government. And when you're trying to succeed, you need a network. Because in Think and Grow Rich, it also talks about sometimes you may be at a point in your life where you need psychological support. and psychological support has economic benefits.
What have you discovered about yourself during your tenure as president?
Well, one of the things that I discover quite often is that every so often I have to go and read, study leadership to stay abreast, because leading people is a challenge. And you need all the skills, you need all the insight, and you have to take time to reflect on some of the behaviors that you encounter, some of the interactions. Otherwise, we're just going to keep doing the same thing. And you know the old saying, it's insanity if you keep doing the same thing and you think you're going to get different results. So as a leader, you have to have that time that you spend in investment in reflecting the direction and the course. But sometimes you can have all the plans in the world and then things don't go right because you haven't reassessed the plan to take the proper changes that you need to follow through to the plan.
What was the most challenging or painful decision you ever had to make as president of either organization? Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce or 100 Black men?
Well, sometimes you have to let certain people go. I mean, when you have a team, everybody's not made to be on your team. Everybody's not made to be a customer. Would you want a horrible customer every day in your business? So I think sometimes we have to know who our customer is, know who our board person is, because everybody's not in it to be in this journey. You can't take everybody on the journey. They have to be equipped and willing and able to go on the journey, the path that we're trying to do with this organization.
How do you balance all the demands of the job with time for friends, family, or leisure?
Well, I think family is a very important time. When you're with family, spend time with family. And when you're with your business associates, spend time with your business associates. But your family is very important because without them supporting you, it would be kind of hard for you to go out here and do what we do.
Looking back, what would you change about your experiences, your education, anything?
Well, one of the things is that we would definitely give a greater assessment to the people that we get on the bus with us, because in leadership, the right people on the bus is everything. And if you take the proper screening when you bring in leaders to work with you, the bus will go somewhere. But everybody's not made out for the journey that we are on with this Chamber of Commerce, because we're looking for committed folks. We're looking for people that understand this is a long-term mission and that we take it serious. Now, if you don't take this nonprofit work that we're doing seriously, you're probably not taking your business seriously either. Because we carry our habits everywhere we go.
Yes. How would you describe your tenure so far?
I think it's been phenomenal. I think we've done more in the last 3 years than some organizations have done in 40 years. When you look at the body of work, it's tremendous. But sometimes, like some great leaders said, that maybe it's the timing of things too. Maybe could this generation produce a King or Malcolm X? We're often produced in conjunction with the times need.
Yes. Somebody evolves to rise to the challenge of the times. What are your goals for the chamber?
Well, my goal of the chamber is, for one, is to create a lot of wealthy small business owners and to become one of the largest organizations in New York State, and to be viable, not just to be a chamber in word, but to really have success stories. Somebody, because of the chamber, I've made $1 million. I was able to employ people.
Yes.
I was able to take in turns into my business, and now they went on to be Fortune 500. But we just never know the work that we're doing today, how it's going to impact the future generations.
Do you see it, some might be asking right now, do you see it as possible to make very successful businesses out of members?
Oh, yes, I do. I think it's a certain mindset and the leadership. We have a lot of tenacity. And as a leader of a tremendous business organization, I'm often the advocate. You know, somebody that could get a meeting with a president of a college or a government official to help us work through these issues to get business owners to begin contracting with the government.
What would you say are your greatest obstacles to achieving these goals?
I think the greatest obstacle is always is only 24 hours in a day. Someone said also too that the billionaire and me and you got the same 24 hours in a day. So it's how we utilize the 24 hours in a day that we have.
What are your real concerns, your deepest fears for the future of the Chamber of Commerce?
Well, my deepest fears is that you know, some people don't get on board, and this train is going somewhere. And like my friends in the South will tell you, you know, somebody's got a $1 million red wagon, and you hook your little wagon onto it, you're gonna go somewhere. So I think we really got to get on board, because time is a very limited commodity.
Yeah.
You know? And one of my mentors used to say, in our space, in our time, we can and must make a difference. It has to be now. And there's another book called The Power of Now. We need to be working now, because we can't control the past, but what are we doing right now that's creating the future?
Eckhart Tolle. When are you most happy?
I'm happy all the time. I'm usually a happy-go person. You know, I'm a happy person because I constantly renew my mind. And you know, a positive mental attitude is something that is acquired through reading, studying. You know, just like some people you may know that may have a negative mental attitude, they acquired that too.
Yes.
So I think it's a habit, you know, to develop a positive mental attitude. And there's an old saying, your attitude determines your altitude.
If you were to recommend 3 books for the young people that are listening here to you, what are 3 books you would recommend?
Well, one what I would say is the 12 Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill.
12 Laws.
And I'm a big advocate of Stephen Covey, The 8th Habit, From Effectiveness to Greatness.
8th Habit.
And Dwayne Dwyer, I love all his books. You know, because, you know, he had a book, Inspiration is Your Divine Calling. So when we become inspired, then we find our calling.
I agree. Finish this sentence. I look forward to Sunday evenings too.
Look forward to the future.
What are you most thankful for?
I'm thankful for everything and every day.
If you could go back in time, Phil, what would you tell the 15-year-old self?
Well, I would tell them that, you know, higher yet. You know, that there's always that next level that, you know, where you think you reached the level that you reach, you know, because I know I could do Harvard, but maybe I just got to get around to it. Sometimes we just don't get around to things, even if you have ability, because the task at hand takes so much from us. Because some of us are multi-talented in many areas.
Yes.
We write well. Like me, I'm a great speaker. I write well. So we are. Sometimes we have so much talent, and sometimes we got talent that we don't even know we got yet. So we have to cultivate that talent and use. I'll give you an example. Somebody told me I should write poetry one day, and then I wrote poetry for months, and then I sold poetry in stores. But until that person told me that you should write poetry. Sometimes sometimes people see things in us we don't even see in ourselves.
That is so true, Phil. If your father, let's bring your mom into this, or life today. What is one question you want to ask your mother and your father?
Well, I would say I'll probably ask them the same question. How am I doing? How am I doing?
What do you think Dad would say?
I think they would say very well. They would say you're doing well and you make us proud. And you know, I know they're always looking down on me.
Yes.
And in the African society, as long as they're in your memory, they remain alive.
What makes you laugh out loud?
Well, a lot of things. When you laugh at, you can laugh at the goodness, and it's just so much. Sometimes we feel like God is just too good. We see so many miracles, and we be like, man, we see miracles on the daily.
Yeah.
When you're achieving this level of work that we're doing, it's like every other day we get a miracle.
Yeah.
So we just gotta smile and laugh that that hey, miracles are not just something that we talk about; they actually happen in our lives.
Very true. Phil, this has been delightful. A real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is Selwyn Collins saying thank you for tuning in. Fear not what fear whispers to you. Fear your obedience to it. Good night.